Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind. Dusty Litster, Dane, Stewart, as always brought to you by Hyden and Associates and Western Governors University, and a new sponsor as well, UCCU, banking for you. And man, this is so much fun getting ready for the season. It is here, folks. Football season's here, which means all good times right now. So excited to get it going this week in football coverage like you've never seen before here on KSLSports.com. We've got all of our games we're going to be doing this week or all year long. Red Zone on Friday nights. You're going to hear that on the radio as well, 97.5 and 1280 The Zone, bringing on the audio of the Red Zone. It's a pretty fun thing. And then, of course, Game Night Live, Game of the Week with JJ and Sly. But in these videos, going through our top 25 plus 5. And Dane went through our first 5. Now to the next.
Yeah, 16 through 20. And there's some interesting teams in here, Dusty. And look, maybe some carryover from last year, but good mix in here. And plenty of opportunity for teams to prove us wrong.
Yeah, maybe I could explain this in the top 25, right? Hey, what do we predict you to do this year, or kind of spinning you forward a little bit? But also last year had something to do with it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I'm giving that preface, because this is interesting. And again, as I always say in our rankings, if you want to mock it, do your own rankings and find out what that's like.
Yeah.
But all that, but try to give the formula a little bit, because when we get into this next 5 from where we were 25 through 21, there's a reason why I'm giving a little bit of a disclaimer. So without further ado, let's go to number 20. How about the Region 9 champion from a year ago, the Desert Hills Thunder?
Yeah, I think most people think that the Thunder are probably the favorite in that region. We've talked about a lot of Region 10 teams down there.
They're not Region 9 anymore.
Yeah.
That's killing me.
Where they have kind of shook out in that 21 through 25. Desert Hills is going to be extremely strong. Look, they lose Turnbow.
It's a big blow.
That is. I mean, you don't grow Austin Turnbows on trees. But they do return Noah, and I struggle with the last name, Noah F. Noah, let me know, man. Morris is back. Holmes is back. This is going to be another dynamic team for Desert Hills. And I know last year got upset in the playoffs. They're certainly going to be a motivated bunch. I think Desert Hills, cream of the crop in 4A, and we've talked about a lot of the competition they'll have. It's going to be a fun year, but man, they're going to be good.
Noah Fua'i Latolo. I mean, this kid's terrific. 2,300-yard passer last year. Yeah. We expect him to be very good. But this is a team, we talk about Rick Berry, was a defensive coordinator on the state championship Dixie Flyer team years back. Knows what he's doing. His defense is going to be one of those things, but it's going to take a minute. From a team that we will interesting to see where they go. Well, how about one of their opponents? And a team that has won Region 6 2 years in a row. However, some changes coming into this Brighton program. Their quarterback, Jack Johnson, coming back. Brighton should be very good.
Well, even more changes than that. How about a new head coach? Coach Casey Satera, former defensive coordinator at Corner Canyon, now the head man at Brighton. First head coaching position for Coach Satera. You talk about some of the guys that graduated. No more Barton. He's gone, but they do return Jack Johnson. And we saw Johnson last year, dynamic quarterback, can run it, certainly has a great arm for the Brighton Bengals. McMaster is no longer there either. He was one of the big targets down the field for this Brighton Bengals squad. I can't wait to see what Coach Satera does there, right? Mm-hmm. This is a program that, you think back when we first started, they were perennial contenders in 5A at the time, and
best winning percentage in football.
Get over that hump to a championship, and great job by Coach Hem to kind of get that program back to competing. And now Coach Satera, can't wait to see what he does with this program. But look, he's got a dynamic quarterback, and we'll see how far that can take him this year.
Well, and we talk about a guy with the pedigree, all the years under Eric Kerr at Corner Canyon. He was with him at Jordan. I mean, does a great job.
Power eye offense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely what he has to do. Yeah. We got to get back to running that split veer like Mike Hanna did and like Mike Haig did.
I knew it.
Yeah. I mean, for heaven's sakes, they got right there with Skyline in 2005. But Mike Higgs just don't grow on trees, as we've come to learn. Yeah. And now we'll go from there. How about a team last year that we were high on going into a year ago, and then they had a little bit of adversity. They got through it. How about Spanish Fork? Dustin Smith in his 3rd year at the helm of the Spanish Fork Dons. Last year was, hey, Zach Dart, here we go. This is going to go. He gets hurt. And then it was Stevenson. And then that kid was so much from a year ago. And it's just another year for Coach Dustin Smith to turn over the page and get things going.
Yeah, Taragaval, Reed, a couple other seniors on that roster last year for Spanish Fork. It was so good. Lost in the playoffs to East. But look, they do return Buck. He's back. What a job by Coach Smith. This was a program that I think won 1 or 2 games the year before he got there. And last year, they go 7-2, losing the second round. But the building that he has been doing for the Dons has been fantastic. And while there aren't a lot of pieces that return in terms of major statistical contributors from that Don's
Buck,
team.
yeah.
Buck, look, the foundation's been in place, and I can't wait to see Dustin Smith continue to build that program. You kind of know, like, the foundation he's built, the culture he's built there, it's going to be a competitive one. But there's going to be some new faces. We're going to learn a lot about Spanish Fork early on in the season.
What we know is that region's going to be really tight.
Yeah.
That's what we know. Is that every Friday night, if you watch the Red Zone, you'll get to see all those teams and the great finishes that happen in that region.
Region 9 is going to be wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll talk about some other teams later in that region, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, well, let's go from Spanish Fork. How about the team they lost to in the state tournament? The East High Leopards. This is a team that returns a ton. One of our favorites, Amini Imone, amongst others. And some might be saying they should be higher, they should be higher. Hey, look. There's things that got to go. It was a tough year last year for East. We talked about they get that win against Spanish Fork in the first round, but man, that was not the typical year for Brandon Matic and the East High Leopards.
Yeah,
and so they got to come back this year.
It was a bit of a building year, right? And I don't think you ever want to acknowledge a building year when you're at a program like East. I think last year was maybe a little bit of a building year. You look at this roster and Bailahi, the quarterback, I mean, he's kind of learning a new role and full-time starter. You talk about Amini Imone, he was a returner on last year's squad. He's back this year. They returned their entire offensive line. You can also look defensively. Zion Andreasen, who committed to Utah State this last week, he is a starter on that defense. And then Omar Shaw, one of the corners on that. I mean, this group is littered with D1 talent. Big injury occurring over the summer. That's going to affect, how effective maybe that offense can be. We'll see how good that depth is for that program. Had that injury not been there, this team is probably a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But look, you return as much talent as they did in that offense. I expect them to have a big bounce back, and I think they're going to be a tough squad in Region 6.
Yeah, we speak not last year's type of thing for East. Remember, we kept them up in the top 10, just thinking, hey, it's going to get turned around, it's going to get turned around. Just a tough year, but this year, give them some runway.
Yeah.
This isn't where we think that they're in the run. No, I think they're going to move up. We're going to give them some runway to make some room. I'll be very interested to go. How about a team that took the runway and ran away with it last year? Coming in number 16, Stansbury, a 5A semifinalist from last year.
Boy, this was a fun team. Remember, we went out Stansbury, Tooele, and man, what a game that was. You think of the talent they return off of that squad. Harris is back, the quarterback. Ezra is back. You also have Hamilton, the over-the-top target. And then how about welcoming in kind of crosstown nightmare running back, Halu, coming over for Stansbury will be fantastic. And they also had a 5A Defensive Player of the Year finalist in Easton Baker. He returns. This is a loaded squad for Stansbury, one that was dominative in Region 7, got all the way to the semifinal last year. Expect big things from Stansbury this year. And Easton, we know you're watching, have another fantastic year. He was fantastic. Linebacker, all
Baker is a
sorts of
stud.
plays, forcing fumbles and left and right. This young man has a bright future ahead of him. But that's a good squad for Stansbury.
Yeah, when in doubt, go faster. And I'll tell you this much. If you see Easton Baker, you would swear he's a Barton. Let's put it that way. How good is he? And you would swear he's a Barton.
Yeah, that's a young man that I don't want to get in an arm wrestling match with.
You could. You might not win.
You're going to lose. Yeah.
But we're through 10 teams of our top 25 getting ready for the year. Check out the rest of the videos. Go back and see what we have 25 through 21. We'll go take you all the way to number 1, getting you ready for the high school football season. For Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching KSL Sports Rewind on KSLSports.com.